I'll be talking about the usage, effects, and dangers of steroids. Steroids have been very prevalent in athletic competition in today's society, where it's ultra-competitive and athletes will do whatever it takes to get an edge on the opposition. Steroids are a fascinating drug that can take your body and transform it into an example of a perfect human specimen in terms of peak athletic performance. This drug is becoming easier and easier to obtain, and it is important for us to know all the repercussions of using steroids. Ever since the 1980s, steroids have been a huge problem in collegiate and professional sports. I've read many papers on steroids throughout my academic career, and as an avid sports fan, I know all about the different symptoms of steroids, what they can do for you on the playing field, and what the fallbacks are. In the 1980s, steroids in all sports and abusing steroids are the different major topics I will be speaking about. The 1980s were a prime time to hook athletes onto steroids. With the amount of cocaine use, new drugs such as heroin and crack, steroids are just another drug to mess around with during this time. In the NFL during the 1980s, 1 in 5 players tested positive for anabolic steroids, according to CNSNnews.com. NFL players used steroids to recover from injuries faster and become stronger. They had little information back then about steroids, so they did not know any of the side effects. All you had to do was get them and ask the team strength coach for them, and there you go. Steroids also became a huge issue in the MLB in the 1990s. Baseball saw a dramatic surge in offensive production during this period. This time period was most known for housing the greatest in-season home run race in sports history. The race was between Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa, and it captivated all of the country and grew the sport tremendously. I've discussed the 2 major sports where steroids are involved. Now let's take a look at a different sport where the drug abuse has become a major problem: cycling. Steroids and drug use has been around cycling for about as long as it's been a sport. Lance Armstrong is the most popular cyclist who was found guilty of using performance-enhancing drugs. Lance won 7 Tour de France titles and was battling testicular cancer through his cycling career. He was found guilty of using steroids and had all 7 of his titles stripped and then was banned from the sport. The dangers of steroids. Body changes for men. Steroids can cause shrinking of the testicles. It can cause major attitude changes, including an increased temper, and it can also cause increased infertility. Body changes for women. They can get deeper voices, they have increased body hair, and they can even go bald. Psychological effects. Steroids have led many users to a point of no return in being able to deal with the stresses that they put themselves through. They push their bodies to the max over and over the max. This leaves the users not ever being happy with their bodies and falling into major depression. The major story with this is Junior Seau. He was allegedly on them and he ended up shooting himself from that, and he had a concussion problem. Steroids can be a great drug for those who are actually sick and need the drug to enable their bodies to move like they want them to. The issue becomes when they abuse these drugs and use them to gain an advantage on their opposition. My goal here today was to warn those about being careful at what they put into their bodies and being aware of what they can cause. I hope I have succeeded.